When my business partner found the cereal box torn open with tiny bite marks on the side, she went pale. She had been eating from it for 3 days. She looked at me and whispered, "Do you think we have a mouse?" I nodded slowly. What she didn't know was that the mouse didn't exist. If you have ever shared a workspace with someone who just refuses to respect basic boundaries, this story will hit close to home. Like, subscribe, and stay until the end because sometimes the smallest revenge creates the biggest lesson. A few years ago, I co-founded a pottery studio in Brighton with my friend Isla. We met in art school and bonded over clay-stained jeans, late-night glazing experiments, and a mutual dream of turning creativity into something real. Opening our own studio felt like a victory. We found a cozy brick building near the seafront with enough space for 2 wheels, a kiln room, and a separate classroom where we held beginner workshops. That classroom was our pride and joy. It was the first thing clients saw when they walked in. It needed to feel intentional, calm, and professional. There was just one problem. Isla was messy. Now, before anyone judges, I am not exactly a minimalist. Pottery is messy by nature. Clay, dust settles everywhere. Tools scatter. Aprons pile up. But this was different. This wasn't creative chaos. This was food. Cereal boxes left open on shelves. Sticky honey jars next to demonstration pieces. Used tea bags drying on paper towels beside student handouts. Half-eaten biscuits sitting near bags of clay. It did not look charming. It looked careless. We had agreed early on that the teaching room would stay clear of personal clutter. Our private studios could look however we wanted, but the classroom was neutral territory. It was about the students. The first time I mentioned it, I kept my tone light. "Hey, could you move the cereal to the kitchen? It just looks a bit odd in here." She smiled and said, "Oh my gosh, yes, of course. I'll do it now." The next day it was back. The second time I was more direct. "I really need us to keep food out of this room. It's about professionalism." She sighed. "You worry too much. It's a pottery studio, not a hospital." That comment lingered in my chest longer than it should have. It was not about perfection. It was about respect. Weeks passed. Every time I cleared the space before workshop, I would find crumbs under the shelves. Sugar crystals stuck to surfaces. Once I found an open jar of jam sitting directly beside freshly fired bowls. My jaw would tighten. My shoulders would stiffen. I would clean silently. I started noticing students glancing at the clutter. One woman gently asked if the cereal was part of a glazing experiment. I laughed it off, but inside I burned with embarrassment. The breaking point came on a Monday morning before corporate team building workshop. 12 executives were arriving in 2 hours. I walked into the classroom and saw a bright yellow cereal box sitting on the main demonstration table. The top was wide open, cornflakes spilling slightly onto the surface. Beside it sat a spoon crusted in dried milk. I stood there staring at it. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. We had talked about this at least 6 times. Each conversation ended with promises. Each promise dissolved by the next morning. I picked up the box slowly. It felt absurd that something so small could carry so much frustration. That was when the idea came. I grabbed one of my fine pin tools from my apron pocket. It was sharp and narrow, perfect for carving delicate lines into clay. I pressed it gently into the side of the cardboard. Tiny puncture. Then another. Then I dragged it slightly, creating uneven tears. I scratched along the edge, widening the hole carefully. Not too clean. Not too neat. I crouched and scattered small bits of cardboard around the shelf. I stepped back and examined my work. It looked convincingly chewed. I placed the box exactly where she had left it and went about my day. 3 days passed. On Thursday afternoon, I heard a sharp gasp from classroom. "Emma!" Isla's voice cracked. I walked in calmly. She was holding the cereal box at arm's length, eyes wide. "There's a hole in it. Oh my God! Do you think a mouse got in?" Her voice trembled slightly. I noticed how pale she looked. I leaned closer and examined it. "That does look concerning." She swallowed hard. "I've been eating this." A wave of guilt flickered through me, but I kept my expression serious. This is exactly why food shouldn't be left out here. If there's a mouse, we could have contamination everywhere. Her eyes darted around the room as if expecting something to scurry across the floor. I can't believe this, she muttered. That's disgusting. She marched straight to bin and threw the cereal away. Then she began scanning shelves, checking corners, inspecting every surface. For the rest of the afternoon, she was restless. She Googled pest control services. She wiped down counters twice. She even apologized to me for not taking the food rule seriously. I didn't think about rodents, she admitted quietly. That evening, as I locked up, I realized something. There were no more crumbs. No honey jars. No forgotten tea bags. The next morning the classroom was spotless. Days turned into weeks. The food never returned. The real satisfaction was not her panic. It was the silence of the classroom afterward. The clean shelves. The absence of sticky residue. The feeling that my words had finally landed, even if they had to travel through cardboard first. I never confessed. Perhaps that makes me slightly manipulative. But every time I watched her carefully seal a snack container and carry it to the kitchen, I felt a quiet sense of balance restored. Partnerships are complicated, especially creative ones. Sometimes conflict is not explosive. It is slow erosion, tiny frustrations stacking up until something has to give. I learned that day that I should have been more direct about how deeply it bothered me. But I also learned that boundaries mean nothing without consequences. And sometimes the threat of a mouse is enough to create change. If this story made you laugh or reminded you of someone in your own workspace, comment below and tell me the smallest petty revenge you have ever witnessed. Like the video if you believe shared spaces deserve shared respect. And subscribe for more stories where karma works in subtle but unforgettable ways.